Who does not know him? Steve Jobs was an American businessman, media proprietor, investor, and industrial designer. He has been on the air because of his Apple company, which is now one of the world's most famous and valuable companies. Steve completely changed the concept of mobile phones and introduced iPhones, iPods, and personal computers we all know about today. However, there are many facts about him that I bet you've never heard of. Number 20, he was a college dropout. Although Steve Jobs was a very brilliant student in his college life, but still he was a college dropout. He studied at Reed's College, where he dropped out after just one semester. After that, he used to study only those subjects that interested him. One of his favorite teachers was Robert Palladino. He was a Trappist monk, and he used to teach calligraphy to him. Robert Palladino taught him about serif and sans serif type surfaces, which were later added to the Mac personal computers developed by Steve Jobs. Number 19, he fought the music industry. Before the concept of iTunes, very few choices were available for buying music. No one could purchase individual music, and people used to buy the whole album at a very high price. Steve Jobs tried to change this thing. He wanted people to choose individual songs, but the music industry were against this concept. They don't like to sell individual music. Their viewpoint was that they could make more money by selling music albums rather than selling individual music for 99 cents. Steve Jobs proved them wrong. He persuaded some of the biggest music industries to sell individual music, and when they started getting more profit, the rest also started doing so, and it made iTunes a huge hit. Number 18, he was a pescatarian. Pescatarian is a person who doesn't eat meat but does eat fish. Steve Jobs was a pescatarian, and he always liked fish as food. He also liked fruits, veggies, especially carrots.
Oh, carrots hard to find. You get a dozen for a dime. It's magic.
However, he used to spend most of his time as a fruitarian. Number 17, people used to satirize his concepts. At the time when the iPod was released, FMs and MP3 players were present, which were very clunky. They didn't have a lot of storage and were not very user-friendly as well. Most of the people were only aware of CD players and portable cassettes. People didn't like the concept of iPads, as they were thinking that it was just an expensive device with fewer features. No one was even working on making something like it until Steve Jobs introduced it in 2001. This invention started a new music revolution. People liked the iPod so much that it became an overwhelming hit. Number 16, his car was without a license plate. If someone leases an identical car model twice a year, California legal loopholes recommend him to put license plates within 6 months. Steve Jobs took full advantage of it, and he didn't put any license plate on his car. He had a habit to park the car in a handicapped parking spot as well. He never revealed the reasons behind these actions. Maybe it's because he was always thinking about his company, and thus he didn't take these matters too seriously. Number 15, he didn't listen to doctors. In 2013, doctors told Steve Jobs that he had pancreatic cancer. This type of cancer was easily treatable, and he could easily control it. Instead of taking it seriously, he ignored the doctor's advice and he tried to cure it by himself. He resisted medicine, and he used to take them in a very few amounts. That's why cancer caused several health problems for him. Before we move on, leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be the first watching new episodes. Number 14, the case of missing hard drive. Steve Jobs made his email address available to all people, and he used to receive thousands of emails daily. Once a customer named Matt McCoy returned a laptop to an Apple store as the hard drive was not present in his laptop. When Steve Jobs heard about it, he took this matter very seriously. He made a phone call to that customer just to assure him that the missing hard drive would be found and returned. Instead of calling him, he could have sent that customer an email or text, but he didn't. That's why we can say that he provided the best customer service as a CEO. Number 13, he had a laughable salary. Before the foundation of his own company, Steve Jobs was the very lowest paid CEO of multiple companies. His annual salary was only $1 for managing the tech giant. At that time, he could never have thought that he was going to own more than $2 billion worth of Apple company. However, many other CEOs, like CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and CEO of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, took $1 salaries as well before their legendary inventions. Number 12, he was a Zen Buddhist. Jobs first showed interest in Buddhism in the early 1970s, when Hindu, Buddhist, and Zen philosophies were becoming common in California. He found a way to merge his philosophical beliefs and personal ambitions by experimenting with Zen Buddhism. After working with a video game and electronics company, Steve Jobs wanted spiritual enlightenment, and he traveled to India for this purpose. He stayed there for 7 months, and during this period, he learned multiple Eastern philosophies and developed an interest in Buddhism that stayed with him forever. Number 11. He always used to think different. Steve Jobs always used to introduce his products with different and unique specifications. He had a habit to see things differently. For example, he didn't copy other operating systems for making an iPhone. Rather, he introduced his own operating system for iPhones. People love his products as all of his products are very different and unique. Number 10. He followed a simple dressing. All the rich men wear expensive clothing, but it was not the case of Steve Jobs. His dressing style included just jeans, sneakers, and a black turtleneck. He mostly wore Levi's jeans with a turtleneck. He'd used around 100 Levi's jeans throughout his lifetime. Number 9. He regretted staying at a luxury hotel. Once Steve Jobs went on a trip to London, and the head of Apple, Johnny Ive, booked a room at the 5-star hotel for him. Common people like us would be very happy to spend even some minutes in a 5-star hotel room, but Steve Jobs reacted differently. He took a look at that room and became sad. Then he immediately called Johnny Ive and told him that we will have to leave. Number 8. He had a special team to study emotions. People's emotions and feelings about a company or product decide its value. Steve Jobs knew it, and he always tried to provide the products above people's expectations so that they feel good about his products. He had a special team whose task was to just study the emotions and excitement behind opening a box and searching for the products inside. Number 7. He screwed his friend. Steve Jobs was working for Atari before the foundation of Apple. At that time, he was promised a huge amount of money if he could make the clone of a game Pong. He hired a friend to work on this project for half the profit. His friend did a great job, and Atari was thinking that it was done by Steve Jobs. So Atari gave him a bonus of $5,000. Jobs didn't tell his friend about the amount of bonus and paid him only $375. Although his friend did all the work, but still Jobs screwed him and gave him only $375, while the rest of that $5,375 was owned by Jobs. Number 6. He refused to acknowledge his daughter. Steve Jobs denied the existence of his own daughter, whose name was Lisa. He refused to take a paternity test by saying that he is sterile. It was very disappointing for his daughter and wife because they supported him financially before Apple's success. After that, he named his early Apple computers Lisa 1 and Lisa 2. He also welcomed Lisa into the family and compensated her mother. Number 5. His last words are still a mystery. Steve Jobs had a pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor in 2003. He tried multiple natural alternative healing, like becoming a herbal remedy, acupuncture, and vegan to overcome it. The problem was that he didn't take enough medicine to treat this disease. On October 5th, 2011, he died because of a brain respiratory arrest. He was 56 years old at the time. Steve Jobs' final words were, "Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow." No one knows the reason behind these words. Number 4. The Google logo was changed on his demand. Steve Jobs found the yellow gradient in the second O of the Google logo wasn't quite right. He talked with the VP of Google, Vic Androda, and asked him to resolve this issue. Steve Jobs said that the second O in the Google logo didn't have a reliable yellow shade. So, Vic Androda changed that yellow shade and added a new one, which was exactly according to Steve Jobs' demand. Number 3. He was fired from Apple. In 1985, Jobs was forced out of Apple as Pepsi executive told the board that he was too young. After that, Steve Jobs started manufacturing the Next computer. In 1997, Apple acquired Next, and Jobs again became the CEO of Apple within a few months. Then he hired Johnny Ive for developing a number of new products that had more advanced specifications. In 2001, the old Mac OS was replaced with Mac OS X, and iOS was also introduced for iPhones. It all became possible because of the combination of Apple with Next hardware. Number 2. He met his sister at 27. The famous author Mona Simpson was his younger sister. In the early 1980s, Steve Jobs found her, and they both felt that they had a lot of similarities in their appearance, traits, and intensity. So they became best friends. At that time, Steve Jobs refused to meet his father, and he didn't have good relations with his mother as well. Number 1. He was adopted. Steve Jobs' biological father, was Abdul Fattah Jandili, who lived in Syria. His biological mother was Joanne Schliebel, and she met Abdul Fattah Jandili at the University of Wisconsin. Steve Jobs was born when his biological parents were 23 years old. They both feel that this age was too young to get married, and it was unconventional to have a child without marriage. So they were helpless, and that's why they started finding someone to adopt their baby. For this purpose, they met with Paul and Claire Jobs, who were Armenians, and they were unable to have a child. So they adopted Steve Jobs with an open heart. They both raised him and always tried to hide the fact that they were just his adoptive parents. Thanks for watching. Leave the comment down below and let us know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe for new and upcoming episodes.